We'll start on the very top of page Beis. We have a real challenging, though extremely fine principle here. Right on top, ve-im-kol-zeh, despite all of this, that we've said, that the ohrot ablima do not have a defining factor. The pshitus, certainly relative to the kelim. In other words, the ohrot represent the ohr in-sof. It would behoove us now to identify the principle of ohr in-sof, which we did in the past multiple times. Ohr means light. Ein Sof means infinite. Now, by definition, when you say this is infinite light, it sounds like you're talking about an extension of light that goes in ad infinitum. But we have mentioned many times that in principle, anything that is a cumulative, no matter how extended that accumulation is, cannot be Ein-Sof. Ein-Sof is a principle unto itself. It's not a sum total of many things. It's a standalone principle. It's essentially Ein-Sof. In our discussions, and for us to be able to understand, to relate to this thing, that we should create a human being. And the human being, he is imbued with such qualities, with such presence, that is described as Betzalmeinu Kidmuseinu. He's in our form and he's in our likeness. As small as the human being is, he possesses a godlike reality, truth. Again, if we were going to examine his talents, his capabilities, that did not qualify as Ein-Sof. For the same principle as we just now elucidated. Ein Sof, therefore, applies to what the Rambam describes, Amitis himotzoi, the truth of his presence. The truth of his presence means that his presence is not a supplied presence. And it cannot be withdrawn, it cannot be unsupplied. It is a fundamental, it is truth in and of itself. This is in the Etzem. And then there is the union from Oyer Ein Sof. On the human level, on the human being, which is true, which is used Chassidus. Pointed out, the human being's presence in the world is not measurable in any fashion, whether worldly or talent-wise. But from a perspective of accomplishment, perspective of representation. As we say many times, that a person, as long as he's alive, at the very last breath of his life, he has a full presence of a living human being. Although functionally he's totally incapacitated, incapable. His very presence is infinite. To measure it in worldly terms is impossible. It's really infinite. So we have the essence, the very presence of the human being. And then we have the oir. We have no tangible way of describing, of grasping what is oir. Sorry. But we pointed out many times, this is something which, okay, let me step back a second. This is where we have to employ our intelligence, seichel, pure seichel. Because if we are to grasp it with kelim, there's no kelim. This is oir. This is blima, this is not a graspable. It doesn't have boundaries, borders by which you grasp it. We have demonstrated this principle. It's a very simple, vivid principle which we have to slowly get accustomed to and fully comprehend. A table is a tabletop. That's what the table is called, a table. Not because of its legs, but a tabletop. And if you want to grasp the table, how are you going to grasp it? Can you grasp it by grasping the tabletop? Impossible. It's a small entity, and it's clearly defined. But it doesn't have the means to be grasped. Either you appreciate its reality or you don't. If you want to grasp it, you have to find where it is not, and then grasp it by its edges. If you want to move it, grasp it, move it. And as we've described and explained over the course of years, that the significance of this tabletop cannot be described on a functional level. You describe how you use it, but you do not fully grasp it by the description. It's a human defining area, and it defines the human presence, the glory and the dignity of the human presence. Because it is defining the glory and the dignity of the human presence, this is why it has a presence, and this is what it's about, and it cannot be grasped. Like we said before, a human being, the moments, as long as he is less breath, is a full-fledged human being. This human being, this is the principle of the etzem. Etzem is what he is unto himself, and that which he is unto himself comes forth in the form of ohr, what's called the ohr of the etzem. Which in our terms, to be in the presence of a human being is also effective, has a special effect. Like we said, we have our classic example of the host and the guest. No matter what the guest gets from the host, it doesn't compare to being with the host. And when he is with the host, does he have the host? He has the ohr of the host, the presence. How do we identify this ohr when he's with the host? Let's understand. If the host stands there, but he turns around, doesn't want to look at him, he's still there. But is he with him? In other words, it's not his physical presence. There is the ohr of the host. And the ohr represents the host. And it's more valuable to him than anything else that he got from him. This is the union from ohr ein sof. The ohr that is infinite in its very inception, in its very essence. There's no consequence, no result from it. That the presence itself. Clearly, to recognize and to be affected and appreciate this ohr ein sof, one has to have this kind of a sense. The same human being who is depressed on the human level. And is focused on worldly experiences. Says, I don't need you, give me your food. Which is why we are emphasizing that to remember what is the reality. And this oir emanating or representing the etzem this is oir. Ein Sof. Ein Sof means it is, as I said, it is not a composite of infinite elements. It's infinite in its very essence. So the word infinite here is used for lack of a better way of describing it. The word infinite sounds like an adjective, but what we're referring to is not an adjective, but a noun, infinity. What's infinity? Where does infinity come to this finite world? And the answer is, this finite world was created by God. And God has imbued and given, it's His imprint on it. This is my creation. This is my creation. And wherever you look in the creation, you see this is a godly creation. Like we spoke about the principle of day. Light is a worldly functioning element. Day is nothing to do with world. Day has nothing to do with world. Like we said many times, day transforms the world, nullifies the worldly element. That's why it had to be hidden. Not taken away, but hidden. Because God wants the world to have day. It should be recognizable that this is a godly creation. In this godly creation, God put a human being who is suited for this, who is suited to partake and to function in this godly creation. The dog, the cat, the human being. He has the capacity to appreciate what there is, where he is. Now, this is where our challenge is. Just as in the example of the human being and daylight and the world. There is a kind of a dual definition here. There's daylight, and there's a human being, and the human being appreciates daylight, and he uses daylight. He functions in daylight. In other words, despite the fact that daylight is what's called an infinite quality, but it also has a functional element. But only the human being can relate to that functional element on the true infinite level. If you lose the sight of that, then he's on par with the cat. So here we have a situation of the essential and infinity in the form of light, of ohr. Why is this light infinite? Because it represents a godly presence, an infinite presence. But it represents it in an ohr form. The one thing that we know about daylight, for example, is that vahi era vahi voiker. Yes, ohr is infinite, but there is also choshech. And the choshech is on par with the ohr in terms of being a godly creation, of being an infinite choshech.
Just to get this last turn over here, we said the challenge was the dual nature of the godly creation, that it's both infinite yet there's a functional quality, and then the human challenge is to operate on a functional level but always keep in mind the infinite.
Yeah.
Okay, and then this last piece, and then there's darkness. And that too is on par with the light.
This is where you recognize its functional element. I did not bring it yet to the
okay.
simple point that I want to bring out. What we are saying is that there are multiple ohrot, esesphilas in ohrot. Esesphilas in ohrot. What is esesphilas about? Esesphilas is the full complement of the essential reality of Etz. Esesphilas. These esesphilas, we can readily understand how esesphilas are 10 when we talk from the Kalim perspective. How do you grasp it with the Kalim? But here he's saying something else. He's saying that in ohrot themselves there is also esesphilas. But ohrot are representative of the ohr in Sof. Okay, time is cutting short. I just want to make this point. Again, I'm going back to the mashal. Eventually, we'll put everything together. But this we need. This following we need to fully understand. We spoke many times. We spoke the other day that the home and the calm and the peace that the home provides for the human being is beyond the kelim, beyond that it gives a rest to his body. It actually allows to bring out his qualities. The rest that he has at home is a rest as a neshama level rest. It allows the neshama to surface. Since on the functioning level, what is the primary function of the human being? His seichel, his midas. And the seichel and the midas cannot surface in a constrained level, in a constrained situation. But he's concerned about sustenance. Therefore, he has to have this full support. He has to be able to be at leisure and calm and comfortable in order to be able to concentrate and sense what's doing in his mind, what's doing in his seichel. Now this inyan that he has to bring out, the present human, the man that he senses what's doing in his seichel, what's doing deep down in his mind and his heart. This is not a circumstantial element. In other words, when a person is constrained and is not able to function, that's when it bothers him that he's not able to function. But when he is not constrained and is able to function, then there is no demand that he focus into it. Like we said, person is in prison, Rahman Islam. He is in great pain. But when he is on the loose, he's free. What does that mean? Is being free means unconstrained, or is being free means being a human being? You understand what I'm saying? This ohr of being free is a real expression of the human being. It's not only that it allows him to do his things in the world, no, they're unconstrained. This is him. So this is what the Rebbe is saying. That when there was a tzimtzum, and the etzem ohr was retracted, and then there was chozer v'heir. As we said, the ohr was reintroduced in a very contained manner, kar v'chut, in a beam form. In this beam form, in this limited fashion of ohr, it has all the implications, qualities of ohr.
As opposed to there's all the qualities. It's not it's like the man after prison. It's not unrestrained. It is him.
Right. All the qualities of ohr. Because the ohr itself is not because it doesn't. You can't constrain it. But the ohr has an infinite message, if we can call it that way. Like we said before, this is an interesting thing. This will be the last of it today. You can be with the host together. He is here. And it makes enormous difference whether he's turning towards you or he's turning away from you. What's that about? When he's turning towards you, it's a very, also a limited relationship. It's a kav v'chut. He's looking at you. And in this glance, in this look, pardon me, all the reality of the human being is contained in this look.
This is what you're saying is like the Astrospheres?
Yeah.
Which aspect of that is like the Astrospheres? The fact that...
So this is pure oil, and yet and yet there is a full complement of oil in there. It's not just the presence itself.
Full complement versus the presence itself.
Right.
There's a meaning in it somehow.
A specific expression.
That's right. The spheres. When you look at you, when you look at him, there's the chokhmah, there's the bina, there's the das, there's the midas, all in that look. And it's not due to the fact that I'm looking at somebody, there's somebody to look at, so I have to apply my chokhmah bina. No, this is expressing me. This is what we've been saying all along. Okay, now we can bring it to its conclusion. There is a functional wisdom in a human being, whether he knows it or not. The man in the gutter knows that he is a human being. He doesn't have to express it to anybody. It's not expression dependent.
It's in the very aura itself of that person. There's all the significance of the person.
Right. And this is what he says. When the oil comes through a funnel, to a finite, after the kaf, after the tzimtzum, then the spheres surface. Okay, this is it for this morning. I managed to say the final sentence. Again, I said, stay tuned. Yeah, tune up. Think into it and
Can I just